I'll go edit this out. All right, let's get into it. Game number 3, the most critical game in the series. And we will post this YouTube here, or at least maybe the edited version without the first 2 minutes of sloppiness. But we got today's lineups. I got them like 10 minutes ago. So here we go. It's going to look very similar to game 1 because the Astros, well, on the Phillies side, the Phillies are going to roll out essentially their game 1 lineup, um, where they got Schwarber, Hoskins, Realmuto, Harper, Castellanos, Alex Bohm, Bryson Stott, Gene Segura, Brandon Marsh. Just so game 1 redone. The Astros are making a move as they said they would for game 3 yesterday. They're sticking with the lineup they said they were going to. They got Jordan Alvarez playing left field, and David Hensley is going to get a chance at DH. Okay, so I was just on a Twitter space. We were talking about David Hensley, and guys, I don't mean to be mean or ugly, but like let's let David Hensley be the rookie and let's let him come through. I think some people are expecting David Hensley to be the next Jose Altuve. I don't know what. It's just like, come on, guys. I mean, David Hensley had 34 plate appearances. I mean, he had a great season in AAA. 34 plate appearances in regular season, 2 plate appearances in the postseason. So let's and one of those was a big hit. He got hit by the pitch. That was awesome. And so it was a key situation. He came through. So people have belief in David Hensley in the clutch. I mean, I'm all here for that. Let's just let's take it a little easy, and let's also understand. As I wrote in this article about the left field and DH situation, you can go to the website. The link is right here. I'm not sure we're going to get Hensley tomorrow because we got extreme fly ball pitchers for the next 2 games. I don't think they're going to put Jordan Alvarez in the outfield. I mean, we can talk about like maybe they will. Maybe they'll fall in love with the way it works with Hensley in the lineup and Mancini and Diaz scuffling. But I think the next opportunity to see Hensley in the lineup will probably come again in Game 6, where you have the smaller left field. We'll see. All right, so let's set into games for game 3. You know, it was postponed yesterday. The weather looks good today. Just reiterate something we said yesterday. The team that wins the third game in the series that's tied 1-1, that's happened, I guess it's been happened 98 times. 68 of the times that team that won game 3 have won the series. So 69% of the game 3 winners go on to win the series. So that's another data point that shows how critical and important this game is for the Astros. Now, I will tell you, I think that this game can't be any more important because if you look at where we're going from a pitching standpoint, the rain out yesterday allows the Phillies to have Nola go. I mean, I was predicting Nola was going to start game 4 anyway. I thought they would do it on short rest. That's how desperate I think the pitching situation is for the Phillies. So the rain out yesterday allows them to get that start in game 4 on regular rest. That's a huge um, plus for the Phillies. I won't say it's necessarily an advantage because I'm not so sure that Nola is necessarily an advantage over Javier for that game, but it is a big plus versus the other options they might have had. They say that their game 5 starter is either going to be Syndergaard or Gibson. Either way, they're not going to be pitching very long. Gibson has a 5.05 ERA this year, 4.28 FIP. It would be really interesting to see that be rolled out in game 5. But you know, we can focus on game 3. Game 3 sets up these scenarios with the Phillies. So game 3, if the Astros get up 2-1, the Phillies are going to be putting all chips in for that game 4, and then we talk about that as we go on. So here we go with how will the Astros do against Ranger Suarez. Now, guys, this is an excerpt from the matchup guide, and you guys can go to the full matchup guide to see. But here you go with Altuve, really expected to have a good night. Jeremy Pena has a good night. Chas McCormick is expected to have a good night, and Martin Maldonado. I don't think I've ever said these words the entire 2021 season. I expect Martin Maldonado to have a big night tonight. Somebody clip that and just oh my gosh. Larry the GM is actually calling for Martin Maldonado to have a big night. So why is that? Well, number one, all three of those are all four of those guys are right-handers. Bregman should have a pretty good night, um, and Hensley should have a good night too. I just the matchup database that I use doesn't have enough at bats, enough plate appearances for Hensley. So all those players are right-handed. Suarez throws his sinker really well to left-handed hitters, and not really that well to right-handed hitters. That sinker gets hit at a 350 clip. All those hitters that are bright red in here hit the sinker well. So right-handed hitters that are hitting a sinker that Suarez throws 34% of the time, and not that well to right-handed hitters. All those guys hit that sinker well. That's the prescription for a really good night for those batters. So just see, and it's what's interesting about it is Kyle Tucker's not would not be predicted to have that great of a night. Yuli Gurriel, who doesn't hit the sinker that well, would not be predicted to have that great of a night. So there's your matchup, and there is the reason. Even Dubon, if they comes in as a defensive replacement and ends up batting, it's not a terrible night. He's basically an average hitter. So um, so a little bit about this is when I talk about later in the series. If you see Suarez come in against Alvarez, Bregman, Tucker, Gurriel, that makes sense because that pocket of four hitters is something that Suarez can do relative to other pitching staff do okay with. But it's the other batters around that they're gonna do really well. So David Hensley tonight in the lineup, batting seventh in place of Trey Mancini, in place of Elizabeth Diaz. Let's see what the rookie does. So here we go. They will have Nola on full rest now for Game 4. Let's talk a little bit about these issues with the Phillies pitching staff. So if you spend any time on some Philadelphia sports media, and I've given you a link here, uh, they there's a lot of doubt out there with what Wheeler, if Wheeler's actually going to be available for this Game 6. They're here we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in between starts for Wheeler. That should tell you something. They're hoping that whatever is ailing Wheeler that he can get it right. But there's some reports that it may be pretty rough. Syndergaard has not pitched more than 35 pitches in a game since 10-1. So over a month. A month since that Syndergaard's pitched more than 35 pitches in the game. That's their game 5 starter, or they're going to go to Gibson, who has a 5.05 ERA this year. So it is hypercritical that the Astros win this game, and it's hypercritical for the Phillies that if they don't win this game, they must win tomorrow. Because if you got a Phillies fan that's talking a lot of business about the fact that the rain out has been a huge advantage to them, understand it's an advantage for the NOLA game. But I just turn to them and act real serious and say, can you talk to me about your Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7 starters if you go there? Because after tonight, if the Astros win, they have to have an answer for at least Game 5 and Game 6. And I don't think they have an answer to either one. And so I'm just, guys, I'm just here to tell you, I was the guy that told you that I was a little worried about Game 2. I am not worried about this game tonight. I was on Twitter Space saying I believe the Astros are going to win like 7-3, or maybe even bigger than that. Um, I wouldn't be shocked if the Astros won 10-1 tonight. Now, there's a lot of concern out there about, McCullers versus the Phillies. I will tell you this, it's not in the guide. Maybe I should add it into it, but um, the Phillies are really one of the more free swinging teams. Their out of the zone swing rate is like 34%, which is fifth in baseball, fifth highest. I mean, that's not good. And so Lance McCullers tends to throw a lot of breaking pitches that look like they're going into the zone, but then break out at the last minute and they're totally out of the zone and you were never going to hit it. And so look for that tonight. We should see Lance McCullers get some big hits. So that could be what's coming tonight. So let's talk about tonight. So Clint, my buddy Clint the Scout, who's in the chat with me right now, he will be with me and the watch with Larry. We're watching the game together, watch party on here on the YouTube channel. I will also have my buddy Casey. We are thinking now. We want to. This like we haven't been too serious about the watch party aspect of this game. So we're talking about making it a party tonight, and like we want you guys to come join us. Let's party together watching the Astros. And here's the deal. I've talked both Casey and Clint into the fact that one of the three of us will take a shot for every time the Astros score. Now I just told you they could score like 9 or 10 runs tonight, so it could get a little loose before the end of the party if that happens. So, so what we're thinking is we may take a little contest to make like if you're in the watch party, no, obviously we're not going to force anybody to, but if you're willing to drink with us, like let's take a shot with Larry the GM, Clint the Scout, or our buddy Casey during the game tonight. All right, so let's have a party when the Astros score, which could be like 3 runs in the first. Well, you might have Casey, Larry, and Clint all in with a shot before the first inning's over with. All right, let's see, Matt. What did you have to say? Nola himself may be an advantage, but what are the bullpen protection he might provide if he goes deep? Do you see that as costly to the Astros over the next 3+? All right. Well, here, Matt. So what I think the Phillies are going to do, understand my belief. If you look at this projected starters for the rest of the series, I've got Nola starting Game 7 on short rest because I don't think they have another answer for Game 7 if they don't do that. So I don't think Nola's any sort of protection for him. Yeah, exactly, Paulo. Let's all get drunk in the first inning. Hey, let's enjoy it. So I don't think Nola's not going to be any hope for their bullpen after Game 4, and we'll talk more about that. As a lot of this hinges on what happens tonight. Because if the Astros, and I wrote this in here, if the Astros get into this bullpen, um, you know, what what are the Phillies answers? What are the Philly fan answers for Game 5, 6, and 7? And here's the thing: if the bullpen gets hammered, if the Astros get up in this game early on, and I think they're going to. I mean, I think I wrote in here that my over under on the number. Yeah, there it is. Right, I put the over under at 8 outs for Suarez tonight. That means by the third inning, they're already going to somebody in the bullpen. If the Astros are up, I think they're going to be pulling from these guys. I mean, they may pull from Bilotti and Brogdon. So I labeled the Phillies bullpen into 3 classes. You got your first class bullpen, you got your coach bullpen, and then you got your economy class that they really only want to use in blowouts. So if the Astros are up like 3-1 or 4-1 in that third inning, by the time they're already pulling Suarez out of the game, then they're going to Bilotti and Brogdon and hoping that they can get them to like the 6th or 7th inning without giving up more runs. If that's not the case and the Astros continue to pound the beating, then they're just going to pull guys from the Nelson and Hand category of their bullpen. And you say, well, Larry, Brad Hand's a really good pitcher. Well, Brad Hand had a 5.49 FIP in the second half of the season. So no, he hasn't been the Brad Hen that we tend to think about. So if the Brassos do get the Suarez early and often, expect the Phillies to do what I just said, to basically bail on the game and hope that they're able to get Game 4 with Nola on the mound. And then I really just to be clear, if we end up at 2-2 after Game 4, I don't see how the Phillies win this World Series because I don't know what they're doing for pitching. We'll get there and we'll talk about it, but I just don't see that. So tonight is critical for the Astros. Let's get a win tonight. We have the huge pitching advantage. If they don't win, the pressure to beat Nola in Game 4 is going to be tremendous. So Wheeler and Nola are the only starting pitchers that I worry about the Astros not really being able to get to, and they've gotten to both of them before. So uh, Clint says Lance McCullers Jr. is A+ pitches that are effective against both sides of the plate. So there you go. So let's set the stage for Game 3 tonight. The Who do we think is going to do well? Well, tonight the plan is for, I believe, Alvarez in left field, Hensley at DH. Interesting how the rookie does. You see the Lance McCullers. I think he's going to do fairly well out of the top 4. Here's the bullpen status, guys. Everybody's available after 2 days of rest. So what do we think the matchup prediction? I've got Altuve having a great night. I've got McCormick having a great night. I have Martin Maldonado having one of those 10 nights that people like to shove in Larry DeGio's face and say, you don't know anything about Martin Maldonado. And I'm telling you, I am on record for on YouTube saying that Martin Maldonado could have the kind of night that all the Maldonadiacs love to talk about. McCullers have a good night. I expect the bullpen to have a good night. For Philadelphia, I'll say I think Schwarber's gonna have a good night. He's the best matchup that they have, and I'm gonna guess that their bullpen has a pretty good night. But if we're in the economy, they're not gonna have a good night. All right. So, and I will say this. Also, there's a link there right there on the. Although read this, where we talked about getting to the Phillies bullpen. Jump on that. So before we close out, here's my ask of you guys. If you've been here, you enjoy the videos, you enjoy everything that we've been talking about, everything we're doing for the postseason. Number 1, come to the watch party tonight. Number 2, please like this video. Number 3, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to LarryTheGM.com. Any other plugs I need to put out there, Clint? Like, guys, we're gonna have a good time tonight. Please come join us, and let's have fun. If you want more details about any of this stuff that we're talking about here, we will be following along in the matchup guide and the data spreadsheets that make up that matchup guide. Uh, Great time to ask questions during the watch with Larry during the Game 3 tonight. Let's have a fun party and let's have fun. All right, before we close out, any questions? Yeah, Pablo is not bad. It's this game should be the game. Um, Follow us on Twitter too, and join us live tonight. Come on, guys. So, any what I heard, Pablo, in the Twitter Spaces room, the that the lowest odds for tonight's game. This should tell you something. That the odds you got worse odds tonight betting on the Astros more than 4 runs than you did on getting the Astros winning by 3 or the Astros winning by 2 or Astros winning by 1. Now, I'm not a gambling guy. Maybe that's always true because I get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 runs. But that tells you that people that set these odds are thinking the chances of a blowout are for the Astros are pretty good. And I think they're right. Anything else, guys? Anything else you want to ask Larry the GM about? We will cover, or we will if I don't know the answer now, I'll talk about it tonight on the game. Going once, going twice. All right, guys. Join us tonight in about 2.5 hours. It'll be party time. Let's go. Let's go Astros. Again, Larry the GM is predicting. I guess I'm gonna go 7-3. 7-3. 7-3. All right, let's go. We'll see you tonight. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.